Okay, it looks like we have reached 6 o'clock, so we'll get started. On behalf of the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, welcome to our evening with the candidates, tonight featuring our Ward 3 candidates for City Council. Each of the individuals you see up here is running for a single open seat in Ward 3. The City Council candidates for Ward 3 are Elba Iris Nazario, Mark Rowan, Lucinda Glenn, Scott Freeberger, and Aaron Cook. While it is now too late for candidates to withdraw from the primary election, Aaron Cook has informed the chamber and asked us to announce that he will not be participating in this event and will no longer be campaigning for the Ward 3 seat. In the upcoming primary election, the field of 5 candidates will be narrowed down to 2, and the winner of the general election will ultimately fill the Ward 3 seat for City Council. We would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our candidates this evening and also to all of you. Thank you for coming out. We are fortunate to have strong candidates for these important elected positions, and we're proud to provide opportunities like this for our community to meet and hear from them. The Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, Hastings Economic Development Corporation, and Legislative Committee have prepared a series of questions that will be asked to each candidate. To help the event run smoothly and ensure we have time to cover all questions, we ask that you please follow a few ground rules. Please turn off or silent your phone. Please remain seated and quiet throughout the forum. We ask that there be no applause and no positive or negative comments during the forum. Any audience member who is unable to follow these guidelines or is disrupted may be asked to leave. Time has been allotted for 2 audience questions. Questions must be directed to all the candidates and should not be specific to any one individual candidate, ensuring everyone has the opportunity to answer that question. If you have a question, please write it down on a note card and you can hand it to Chuck over there. 2 questions from the audience will be selected to be answered by our candidates. As mentioned, a series of questions have been prepared. Candidates will be asked 7 questions, 5 prepared by the chamber and 2 from the audience this evening. We will rotate which candidate answers first with each question. The candidates will be given 2 minutes to answer questions, 2 minutes for their introductory statement, and 1 minute for their closing statement. There are 3 cards to give candidates a warning on their time: a 1-minute card, a 30-second card, and a stop card. Also, one final note to our candidates. We are using the microphones tonight, and this event's being filmed by Hastings Public Access. So in front of you, make sure to pull that microphone really close to your mouth, and when you're about to speak, press the button on there. Otherwise, I think we're ready to get started, so I'll pass it over to Chris, who is our moderator for the evening, to get us rolling.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Welcome, candidates, and welcome, constituents, tonight for our Ward 3 candidate forum. Again, as Sydney mentioned, Kyla holds all the power as far as timing goes tonight, so keep an eye on her with the cards. When that stop card goes up, I will stop you very shortly after, so wrap up if you see that. Otherwise, we will start with our introductory statements. Each candidate can give a 2-minute introductory statement. This is an open-ended question and can include why you're running, your qualifications, and what you hope to achieve in that role. We will go as we are seated here from audience left to right. So we will start with Elba Iris Nazario. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I feel so blessed to be here, and my name is Elba Iris Nazario. I am originally from Puerto Rico, territory of the United States, and while in Puerto Rico, I completed a degree in business administration at the University of Puerto Rico. And I moved to the States a little over 40 years ago. In Chicago, I completed a master's degree in theology. And I know that I am a neophyte. I haven't been in this town a long time, but I have come to know and love this city. And I said, why not? When the opportunity presented itself, I said, why not? I think I have skills that I have picked up along the way. And I have the heart of a servant, so that's why I am here.
Thank you, Elba Iris. Our next candidate for introductory statement is Mark Rowan. Mark, your 2 minutes begin now.
I think Lucinda Glenn is great. I appreciate her running, and I am glad that she is. I've appreciated her on many instances in the past, so thank you. Mr. Freeberger, I think he's a great guy. The things that I know about him are very impressive. Elba, incredible convictions. I'm so pleased about that. I've heard good things about you in that way. Plus stylish glasses. I'm from Thedford, Nebraska originally. I've been here about 4 decades. I really like this town. My wife and I are raising our kids here. My wife is Mindy, the piano player from the Hastings High School. And we got a little girl named Carly and 2 adult kids who are both married. Got grandkids live here in town. My mom's over here on the end on the second row. Glad to be in Hastings, glad to serve Hastings, and I'm going to see if I can do it for 4 more years. That's all.
Thank you, Mark. Next for introductory statements, Lucinda Glenn. Lucinda, your 2 minutes start now.
Thanks, Chris. My voice is usually big enough. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, and thank you to all of you for coming to see us. Engagement is what democracy is all about, and engagement is one of the many things that I love about Hastings. I grew up and graduated from high school in Lexington, Nebraska, earned a BA from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, and got my law degree from the University of Nebraska College of Law. Because we had family who lived in Hastings, we volunteered here at the Cottonwood Prairie Festival, the annual St. Cecilia Chicken Noodle Dinner, and many other community events before we even moved here. My husband, Roger, and I finally moved to Hastings in 1997 and raised our 3 children, Sean, Julia, and Murphy, right here. We came here by choice, for the lifestyle, and we have never regretted it. I've practiced law in Hastings since 1997, and I've done legal work for the families of this community ever since. I'm currently an owner at Bachsteiner & Glenn. I'm now serving the 3rd and 4th generation of some families. I've been an adjunct professor at Hastings College, teaching business and commercial law and public administration. I've served the Hastings community on a variety of boards like Big Brothers Big Sisters, The Bridge, the Hastings Community Theater, the Hastings Library Foundation, and Head Start. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I'm on the Legislation Committee, and a member of Laughlin Country Club. I have in the annual Hastings Variety Show. My life and career have been about service, and that is why I'm running for City Council. I love this place. We do so many wonderful things here, but we can do better, and I have some ideas.
Thank you, Lucinda. And to conclude our introductory statements, Scott Freeberger. Scott, your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, I guess I'd like to start off and thank the Chamber of Commerce and everybody for being here, and just say now, I got nothing on that. I'm not a politician. I've never done anything like this. I've never been on student council. I'm a 3rd generation Hastings boy. I'm 46 years old. I remember the good old days of Hastings. I've seen a lot of things come and a lot more things go. And that's what pushed me, I guess, to run for City Council. I see a lot of good things happening in Hastings, and I'd like to see them keep the pedal to the metal and keep growing.
Thank you, Scott. For our first question, you will have 2 minutes for the response. We'll actually go in the same order that we did the introductory statements. So, Elba Iris, we will start with you. And the question is, what are your priorities for Ward 3 and the city of Hastings? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. I think we all bring different gifts to the table. I am a people's person. I know others are entrepreneurs and others have different gifts, but my gift is working with people. I am very concerned about the mental health in Hastings. It is something that is not spoken about except in a whisper. And I know the suicide rate is very high in Hastings compared to Nebraska as a state. My first priority will be to, number one, to learn and listen and talk to people, and number two, to formulate some listening sessions, and number three, to see what we have in place. I know that we have some agencies that are working in making this situation better, but I think there's still a lot to do, and I would like to see how the community and the council and we come together to find out what else can we do, because people are so important, and that's the root of other problems like drug addiction and abuse against women.
Thank you. Mark, your priorities for Ward 3 and the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I'll do the city of Hastings part first. Number one thing on my list is to make it so that kids can get over the railroad tracks to get to the middle school and the water park. That is my number one wish above all. Secondly, I really like to see a senior center. I have lots of folks in my life who tell me about how there's nicer senior centers in other towns and they wish ours was better, and I agree with that. I'd like to see fiscal responsibility of the city, that we find ways to cut some costs and earn some extra money. And I'd like to join up with some people who would try to broadcast how wonderful it is to get to live here. I think there's a lot of people who always say, I wish I could go someplace else. And I think there's a lot here. I'll leave with that.
Thank you, Mark. Lucinda, your priorities for Ward 3 and the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I think the first thing we have to recognize is that Ward 3 is really pretty diverse. It runs all the way from the tracks up through downtown, up by the high school, from Colorado to Baltimore, and all the way north. We're talking about diversity of purpose, diversity of demographic. So the priorities for Ward 3 are very much like what the priorities for the rest of the city would look like. First, responsible, measured growth, data-driven. Second, budget discipline, balancing community expectations of what government should provide with available revenue and setting priorities, involving the community and setting those priorities. Finding additional sources of revenue from state government, federal government, and private sources where they are. Recruiting and retaining talent and business. This is huge, and it will impact all the other priorities. We're talking about stemming brain drain, working on the problem of accessibility to child care, strengthening partnerships with HEDC. I agree with Mark, we need a second place to cross the east-west railroad track safely. And we do need to improve our marketing and branding. We're doing great things here. And yet, we seem to not talk about those. And I think we need to improve the engagement of the community and their buy-in with what we're doing.
Thank you, Lucinda. And Scott, your priorities for Ward 3 in the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, for the city of Hastings, I'd like to see the continued growth. I think there's great things happening in Hastings. I think we got a lot of new housing going in right now. Now I think we need to focus on trying to get some jobs in for that housing. There's a big truck stop going in on the south side of town that I think will be good for the south side of town. I'd like to see that growth continue in Hastings. For Ward 3, I guess it would probably start with, getting to know Maggie and the rest of the city council and the rest of my ward, And I'd just like to see it keep going. I mean, I think, like I say, I think the Ward 3 is in a good spot right now. I think we can't let off of it. You got to continue to grow.
Thank you, Scott. Question number 2, again, you'll have 2 minutes for this, and Mark, we will start with you on this one. Ward 3 is home to a mix of education, retail, and residential areas in Hastings. What unique strengths or opportunities does Hastings have that you hope to build on during your time on the City Council? Again, Mark, we will start with you, and your 2 minutes begin now.
That's kind of a fun question. Well, of course, the highway going north and south provides wonderful opportunities for businesses to come here and to put some roots down. I do think our high school that is in our ward does a great job. I'm what I call a Hastings Public School evangelist and have been for a bunch of years. It's nice to offer kids opportunities and see them do great things, like a big shout out, of course, to the show choir this year. It seems like we are poised for all the success that we could have. We just now need to find some way to convince other folks, hey, move here, start a business, move here, buy a house, move here, rent an apartment, and I think you'll be very glad that you did. And I think Ward 3 is a shining example of that in our city.
Thank you. Lucinda, you are next. And again, what unique strengths or opportunities does Hastings have that you hope to build on during your time on the City Council? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Hastings is a community of unique strengths. We're a melting pot of unusual things that people would not expect in central Nebraska. We have cheap power that's owned by the city at Hastings Utilities. We have good schools, multiple good K through 12 school systems, the YMCA, the YWCA. We have an extraordinarily generous community of people. The YM just got an anonymous $1 million donation to complete its Capitol Drive. The Hastings Community Foundation raised almost $1 million last year. They've got Give Day coming up for over 100 nonprofits this year. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to start something in Hastings, I guarantee you your own competitors will come to you and say, how can I help? We're the how can I help town. We have 2 colleges, Prairie Loft, the museum. We have a planetarium, parks programming. Our parks are a shining star in this city. We have Motorsports Park Hastings, the Lark, the Hastings Community Symphony. We have a symphony in a community of 26,000 people. We have a city auditorium. We have wonderful infrastructure. I could go on and on and on. We have a vibrant arts community, a vibrant downtown. We have the strengths to build on, and it starts with the generosity of our people. When we pull together, instead of in little factions, we can achieve almost miraculous things.
Thank you. Scott, unique strengths or opportunities of Hastings that you hope to build on. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I think to start with, hopefully we end up getting a sports complex that I think could bring a lot of things to Hastings. Like Lucinda said, the YMCA, the park system, there's a lot of great things of Hastings. To get people to come, I think you can just look at Hastings and say, we're hungry. I mean, where else can you go that you put a Dunkin' Donuts in and it turns into the highest grossing Dunkin' Donuts in the state, like overnight? I mean, Hastings is hungry for anything new and anything fresh. We used to have so many other things that Hastings always supported, and we don't anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths that we have, is we're hungry. Like, not just for food and donuts, but like for just business and growth. I think that's an enticing thing.
And Elba Iris, unique strengths and opportunities that you hope to build on during your time. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I love diversity in terms of education, socially, and race and ethnicity. Yes, and even though the majority, I think 79% is white, there are 15.2 Hispanics in Hastings, and there are Asians. And I think that if we work together and we offer what we have to offer, the different cultures, this would be a much, much, much better place, better than what it is right now. And we all need to have a place at the table. The blacks and the whites and the Latinos and the Vietnamese women at Walmart who do my nails. What they have to offer is also important. So we have to build on that diversity and discover that we are basically the same. We have the same wants, the same goals. And instead of finding things that separate us, we have to find things that unite us.
Thank you very much. Lucinda, we will start with you on our next question. And that question is, while a council seat is a 4-year commitment, decisions made by today's council have long-term impacts for the city. What is the role of City Council in supporting responsible growth while maintaining community character? Your 2 minutes begin now.
That is a question with a lot of different heads. The role of the City Council in promoting growth is to make sure that the growth is responsible, to make sure that it's measured, to make sure that the city doesn't get in the way of the growth, and the city does what it can to facilitate it. Now, in terms of how the City Council goes about that, the first thing is to be fiscally responsible. The second is to realize that you can't cut your way out of a budget problem. You have to be willing to invest in yourself because no one else is going to. If we're going to sit around and wait for the federal government to drop a giant bucket of money on our head, they're not going to do that, nor is the state. We need to invest in ourselves and work together to achieve the things we want to achieve here. We need to retain and attract talent and business. And we do that by really examining what the barriers are to them coming here. For example, one of the barriers that I hear over and over is that we lack quality, affordable childcare. And I think it's time for the council to talk about how we can help with that barrier. The first thing we should do, in my opinion, is set up a child care task force. Let's get a bunch of stakeholders together and decide how we can improve that situation as a group, as a team. The City Council needs to see itself as part of the team to achieve the growth goals we're all talking about.
Thank you. Scott, you are next. The role of the City Council in supporting responsible growth while maintaining community character. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, I think the City Council needs to look at itself and the city and see what we can do to streamline getting business into the city. What can we do to help generate business to the city? But it's got to be the right business. I don't think you want to just, go out and open it to whatever. I think there's got to be things that fit well in Hastings, and you also got to look out for the mom and pop shops in Hastings a little bit. But I think there's a lot to offer in Hastings, and I think we just need to work together on the whole council on how to get those people to come here and find somewhere for them to build.
Thank you. Elba Iris, the role of the City Council in supporting responsible growth while maintaining community character. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Again, I'm a neophyte, but the city council has to work together to, number one, approve budgets and reject or accept different proposals. And sometimes we do a lot of good by bringing good proposals from entrepreneurs and people who want to establish themselves here, and that's wonderful. But we also have to reject what is not life-giving, reject what is not good for the community, and reject all those things that that prevent us from being community. And we have to be very careful in what we accept and what we say we agree with. And every time I look there, I lose my train of thought. So we have to think as if we are family, but we have to make decisions that benefit the whole city.
Thank you. And Mark, supporting responsible growth while maintaining community character. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Mr. Freebarker said some wonderful things there. I like the idea of us finding out what it is that we do well and doing that. For instance, we did a softball complex years ago when no one else would. Boy, that was a home run, pun intended. Things like that not other people are doing, I really like that. Find out what we do. For instance, there's those folks who like pickleball. Maybe we're supposed to kind of become the pickleball capital of the state. Let's find something that we can do that is different, that we can rally behind, so we're not just having to compete with the other towns that offer things. I believe that if we invested money in the kind of things that are Hastings' individuality, we would be finding ourselves spending real good money and having great success. That's it.
Thank you. Audience members, this is a last call for audience questions. Chuck is over there and has cards, or if you have cards already, please get those to Chuck as soon as possible. Last call for audience questions. Candidates, our next question we will start with Scott with, and that question is, what strategies and priorities do you have for managing the city budget? Scott, your 2 minutes begin now.
I guess first, don't make it more than it is. I would assume a city budget is no different than a business budget or your household budget or what have you. Maybe we need to look at first, if we ain't got the money, we probably shouldn't be spending it. I think you need to prioritize where you're spending your money and how you're spending your money. But for the most part, if you don't have the money, you can't spend the money. And the best way to get money into Hastings is through growth and more taxable incomes and more housing and more people. So I think that's where we got to start.
Elba Iris, strategies and priorities for managing the city budget. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Again, I'm not a politician like Scott or, no, like he's not.
They know, they all get
Like he's not. And I'm not going to pretend that I know it all. So if I don't know the answer to a question, I'll say, that's a very good question. I just don't know. But I promise that I will find out or find my own answer within me and get back to you. But someone mentioned that Hastings is so rich in culture, choirs and plays and all those wonderful things. So I would think that we would like to place money there. And of course, schools, the children, and also the elderly, and the housing situation for people who move here to work or to make Hastings a home. You can have all the best intentions to move here and have a happy life here, but you need a place to live, right? So those, I would say, would be my priorities. And how will I go about my strategies? I'm working on it.
Mark, budget strategies and priorities. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, with the budget, we always have the money that's coming in, and we got the money that's going out, and the money that's coming in isn't enough for the things that we're wanting the money to go out to spend on. So it means to me we need to cut back on the spending, and hopefully find new ways to bring in money, like Mr. Freeberger said very well. For not being a politician, he did good there. Somehow we've got to not overspend and put ourselves in a spot that takes away that advantage that Hastings has had, which is to have a good war chest. Our war chest is dwindling all the time because we've not found new ways to add to it. We're just finding ways to take out of it. So somehow we got to bring in growth, and somehow we got to curtail spending.
And Lucinda, budget strategies and priorities. Your 2 minutes begin now.
The tricky part with budgets is you have to match the available revenue to what I see as the ever-expanding community expectation of what the city is expected by them to provide. You can't just cut your way out of a budget issue. The community and the council have to seriously consider who we are as a community and who we want to be. What services are essential? What are the city's priorities? What lifestyle do we want? We tackle our challenges by being clear about what our priorities are. It is different than managing a household budget, because in a household budget, you have more control. A budget like this, there are so many variables that have to be considered. And it isn't just for us. It isn't just for the people sitting up here. It's for all the people who live here. Growth comes from investment. That requires study, research, data. You utilize your city employees. You get input from your departments. You work with your city staff. And you start now, because it's a long, arduous process. And if we're honest about it, it's probably the most important thing the city council does. So it has to be the priority.
Thank you very much. Elba Iris, we will start with you on this next question. And that question is, can you share your ideas on how to balance short-term needs with long-term planning and broader community goals? Your 2 minutes begin now. How to balance short-term needs with long-term planning and broader community goals.
Interesting question. Good question. I would have to take some time to think more about that. I'm a fast learner, and I'm still in the process of learning a lot about Hastings and its people. And I would have to say that I have to give it more thought. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Mark, your ideas on how to balance short-term needs with long-term planning and broader community goals. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, it'll be a quick answer. The surplus that we've had for years that is always dwindling is the way to be able to handle short-term needs with long-term planning. and to be able to bring in businesses, bring in tax-paying entities to this town to continue to contribute to that war chest would do that very thing.
And Lucinda, short-term needs versus long-term planning and broader community goals. Your 2 minutes begin now.
We need to be careful to focus not exclusively on short-term need. Because while there is an urgency in that, and you have to address it, sometimes focusing too much on what we view as the short term, as the emergent, will keep us from looking at the bigger picture, at the long-term goal. Every day, I solve problems. It's what I do for a living. It requires creative thought. We are very lucky in this community that we have a diversity of people with a diversity of backgrounds, many of whom are extraordinarily creative thinkers. If you can pull that energy together to work on a problem, they can solve it. So I think part of what we need to be looking at when we're choosing our leaders is let's choose collaborators, team members, creative thinkers, problem solvers who are used to pulling together information and choosing a path, because that's what we're going to have to do.
And Scott, balancing short-term needs with long-term planning. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, I guess you prioritize your short-term needs and see what is needed right away. Your long-term planning, I mean, you try to figure out what in that short term you can tie into the long term. You know, when you start developing one thing, how is that going to develop into the future? What's the long-term plan of what you're doing in the short term? But I think having a plan and working with the whole board is where you start with that. I mean, what's best for Hastings for the short and the long term? But I think you have to think of them at the same time. I don't think you can just go short term or long term.
We move now to questions from the audience. And Mark, we will start with you on this one. The question is tax increment financing, also known as TIF. When should it be used? Do you feel it's been used effectively? And what future projects should it be used for? Mark, your 2 minutes begin now.
It is often said that TIF is the only tool in our toolbox, and therefore, if it's the only tool, we probably overuse it. However, if that's the only tool you got, what do you do? I'd like to see it used on places like, for instance, the old bowling alley that the OBGYN doctors bought. That's the perfect place for something like that. No one's doing anything with that business, with that building for years and years and years. Somebody needs to come along. Somehow we got to incentivize somebody to do something there, and TIF was a wonderful, great choice for that spot. Do I think it's being overdone? Probably. But if I only had a hammer in my toolbox, I'd probably try to use it to take nuts off bolts and all those kinds of things. The folks who are trying to bring growth, the folks that are trying to bring housing, trying to bring businesses, that's one of the few things that, thank you, that's one of the few things that they have that they can try to do to lure folks in. And that we desperately need. I guess I'll end there.
Lucinda, when should TIF be used? Do you feel it's been used effectively? And what future projects should it be used for? Your 2 minutes begin now.
TIF should be used to enhance growth and development. I think TIF has been used very effectively in this community. I'm anxious to see what TIF will bring us in the middle school, the old middle school project. I think that was a project that, but for TIF financing, would never have happened. and we'd be left with a blighted, crumbling building in the center of our community. I agree with Mr. Rowan. Unfortunately, communities like ours have very few tools in the development incentive toolbox besides TIF. I would love to work with our legislative representatives down in Lincoln to try and add to the tools we have in the box. He's right, if all you've got is a hammer, you figure out a lot of ways to use the hammer. It would be very nice if instead of the legislature talking about curtailing our use of TIF, they were talking about other tools that they could help to give us. And I would hope that if I was on the city council, I'd be given the opportunity to explore that with our legislative representative. The future projects we could use TIF for, I don't know, whatever it's going to help. I agree with him, the bowling alley project was an excellent choice. We have to be cognizant of the fact that if we have limited tools, and right now what we have is TIF, then we should use it.
Scott, your feelings on TIF, and your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, I guess I can't say if TIF is overused or used properly in Hastings at this point. I'm not involved enough to know and give an educated enough answer. What I know of TIF, I think it's a great tool for growth and getting things going. Like Mark said, I've heard people say that it's the only tool in the toolbox. If that's the case, how did we get here? Like, how did TIF hasn't been around for 1,000 years. I mean, cities were built and whole empires were built without TIF money. Like, how did, if that's the only tool we have, then us as a city council needs to figure out, like Lucinda said, how we can put more tools in that toolbox. How can we incentivize people other than just TIF for the right things and, you know, for growth and things like that? I think it's good. Just like any superpower, it can be used for villainy. Like, I think it can be overused and used in the wrong way. So as long as it's being used correctly and not overused and not, I guess, used as it's used for the gain of Hastings, it's a good thing. But we also need to figure out how we can get around just using TIF to build things. There's other options. There has to be. So, thank you.
And Elba Iris, your thoughts on TIF. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I haven't been involved in how TIF has been used in the past, but I think it comes to the theme of who we are and who do we want to be. And I think that TIF is a great tool for growth and to invite entrepreneurs and developers to be here. But I don't think that it's only the responsibility of the city council to decide how TIF is used. I agree with Lucinda that we need to involve the legislation here, and we have to be we have to do a study of those places in which, and buildings in which TIF will be a great idea. And if that's what we have right now, we have to use it until something else comes along in the toolbox. And but I think we have to be very careful in the ways in which we use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final question tonight also comes from the audience. And Lucinda, we will start with you on this one. Citizens always wish for lower property taxes and spending cuts. Raising revenue or cutting services and employees are methods commonly used to do so. What do you propose as the city faces a $2 million deficit? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Sure, start with the hard question with me. Yes, everyone wishes for lower property taxes. Sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes it is. The question is, can you find sufficient revenue streams not only to replace that revenue, but to enhance that revenue? In my opinion, cutting employees is counterproductive. When you have a community of 26,000, the last thing you want to do is lose employees and the revenue they generate in your community. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that makes financing government different than financing a household budget or your own small business. The city has begun exploring the idea of other revenue options, and I think that that is one of the places to go. We always need to explore whether or not we are fully utilizing all of our grant options. I also think we need to look harder at the ideas of public and private partnership. That's how things get done in community, big projects especially get done in communities right now. And that would be an area I would very much like to see explored more than it's being explored right now. But I don't see cutting employees, slashing budgets as a way to solve our problem. And there are revenue streams out there. We just have to think for a minute, get creative, talk about them, ask our constituents what their priorities are.
Thank you. Scott, options for the city as it faces a deficit. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Property taxes suck. I concur. It is what it is. That's not something that we really have the choice in. That comes from the state of Nebraska. The city retains only 20% of that, and that goes for paying for streets, fire department, police department, things like that. To cut property taxes, I don't know where we'd start cutting in those things. I mean, your house catches on fire, and all of a sudden there's not a fireman to come save you. There's not an EMT to come save you. There's no police for, blocking the road. I mean, we need all those things. We got to have streets. We got to have first responders and EMTs. Unfortunately, property tax is tied to a lot of those things. And if we look around, we all understand that gas has gone up. Everything in the whole world has gone up. Well, fire departments and police departments depend on those things. And as long as those are up, property taxes are probably up. As far as what was the second thing, Chris, the budget?
Yes, faces a $2 million deficit. So raising revenue or cutting services and employees are methods commonly used.
I think the best way to cut the deficit is growth. To be able to have more places to tax, to be able to have more citizens to tax, to be able to have more businesses to tax. You can't cut the services that we have. And I can't see anybody cutting employees really that much right now in Hastings. I think just about everywhere has a help wanted sign still up. So cutting employees doesn't hardly work either. We need to figure out some way to grow Hastings and get more taxable income coming into Hastings. Thanks.
Elba Iris, your proposals as the city faces a deficit. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I agree with my esteemed compañeros that cutting employees and services is not the answer. When I first moved to the United States, I kept hearing, oh, I don't want no new taxes. I don't want my taxes to go up. And I and other people, I don't mind if my taxes are higher, if that is helping someone else, a kid to go to school, if that is helping the services that we need in the city to function, like the fire men, the fire people, and the police and other services. It goes one with the other. So we have to maybe think a little bit about what is best for us as a community, and try to find ways to cut expenses in other creative ways.
And Mark, your proposals as the city faces a deficit, your 2 minutes begin now.
Mr. Freeberger again spoke well. We got to have growth. In order to bring in more money, we got to be able to collect taxes on new businesses that aren't here yet, and new folks who haven't moved here yet, who would like to put their kids in our schools. I will say that I heard you say the deficit's about $2 million. I believe that's after we also took $2 million also out of the employee health care fund. So I say it's probably a little more than $2 million, because eventually the employee health care fund will be to a level where we can't take out of it. Somehow we've got to bring in ways to collect taxes to pay for all these things, and to not be drowning in debt. One of the things is like the CDBG grants that Randy Chick is always touting, to get some government grant to make a building nicer, to fix up an old building so that some business will want to come to town. And now we have a taxing entity that will help to keep the budget not so far out of hand. There you go.
We have come to the time for closing statements. These are 1 minute that you have for closing statements, and we will go in reverse order from the opening statement. So Scott, we will start with you, and your 1 minute begins now.
I'd just like to thank y'all again. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for coming out. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for doing this. I see a lot of great things in Hastings. Like I say, I've been here for my whole life. I can remember when they used to land airplanes out here and people actually flew out of this joint, believe it or not. I'd just like to see Hastings get back to a little bit of that. I know we can't have everything, but maybe we could just get a little bit and get this thing going in the right direction. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Lucinda, your closing statement, 1 minute begins now.
I solve problems for a living. Every day I work to find consensus and solve what seem to be unsolvable differences between different factions. Matching available revenue to community expectations is going to require research and reasoned judgment. Hastings can't just cut its way out of budget issues. We need to be proactive. The community and the council will have to seriously consider who we are as a community and what we want to be. What services are essential? What are the city's priority? What lifestyle do I want? I told someone yesterday that I'm not really a politician. He laughed and said, "Well, you are now." I've always been and will continue to be Hastings' greatest cheerleader. Together we can make this place we love even better. Impossible is and has always been just an opinion. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you to all of you for attending, and I hope you'll cast your vote for me in the May 12th primary.
And Mark, you're next for closing statements. Your 1 minute begins now.
Thank you, Chamber, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, folks, for filling up the chairs. I always love sitting in city council meetings and seeing a lot of you there. It means that you care and that you believe your presence makes a difference, and it does. I'm honored to be here with you, Mr. Freeberger. Miss Lucinda Glenn, you know how I feel. Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you, too. Elba, honored to be here with you. Thank you. I really appreciate being in a town with folks like you. Thank you for caring.
And Elba Iris, your closing statement. Your 1 minute begins now.
I moved to Hastings because I was offered a job, and when I decided to resign, a lot of people thought that I was going back to Chicago. That's where I came from. And I said, no, Hastings is home. Since I first came here, I just felt this hospitality. And I still have to meet a person that is rude. I haven't met that person. So, and I think that's an example of it's something that the city has, that you cannot put numbers or, a sign of dollars or a building. You come here and it's such an enchanting, place. And I bought a house here.
Thank you, Elba Iris. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, constituents. I will turn it back over to Sydney.
Okay, and with that, that is all we have for tonight. Thank you, candidates, for participating, and thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. This is just a reminder, if you would like to stay afterwards and engage with the candidates, we encourage you to do so. A big thank you to Hastings Airport for hosting this event out here, and also to Hastings Public Access for recording this event. If you guys would like to share this with anybody or post it on Facebook, we encourage you to do so and share the candidates. Otherwise, we encourage you to get out there, keep engaging, stay informed, and make sure to vote on May 12th for the primary election. Otherwise, thank you for coming and have a good night.